Welcome to Fuji in the Lexus. Setting a pretty good qualifying lap, we have been awarded position 4, Porsche in position 1, BMW 2, Mustang to the right 3, ourselves in 4. Going to start the race, not the quickest off the pit limiter button, but it's going to cause us a bit of compromise from iDone behind, who is looking to make that position work for them. Coming down towards turn 1, let's see if we can get out the other side in one piece. iDone nails it into position 1, probably causing a little bit of damage. We'll soon find out as the race progresses and if they're a little bit slower than expected. iDone has now backed out. We have a Lamborghini to our right side, which is going to be kind of a problem as we enter this corner here. Really pushing myself out wide, ultimately closing the door on the Lamborghini, and it has given us a little bit of breathing space. And talking about breathing space, the Lamborghini has a moment and decides turning left on a right-hander was the optimal way of handling that situation. Not grumbling, we have a great bit of free space from anybody behind battling us, but it didn't take too long for iDone to start flashing their lights behind us, ultimately diving themselves again into another corner. Surprisingly enough though, we stayed committed, we stayed true and gave space, and they backed out. So credit where credit is due there. They could have closed the door upon us, which kind of feared they would, but they didn't. So yeah, thank you iDone, fair enough. We need to actually start pushing ourselves to get away from the cars behind. The cars up in front are being a little bit too slow. The Mustang is a little bit sketchy and the BMW is probably holding up the Mustang to a certain degree. The problem with that is, whilst them two are battling up ahead, it slows them both down and ultimately introduces cars behind into the party, and that's the last thing we need. Ultimately, as we progress through the race, the party breaks away, and now iDone is quite a few seconds behind, and Steiner in the Mustang is, well, almost 2 seconds away as we enter turn 1. The crazy thing is, I'm not looking at taking a position at the moment from the two cars up ahead. Them two alone are battling enough to make things work for ourselves at the moment. And you can see the Mustang has taken that position away and the BMW has stayed committed. The way them two are aggressively battling each other, if we joined in, it's going to be a mess. And that's the last thing we need, is one of us to be compromised and the race to be over. So sometimes it's better to assess the situation, sit back, relax, and let it unfold for you. And that's what we're pretty much doing here. We're hanging back to a certain degree. To a point of detriment, not anymore, because the BMW behind is now 4.8 seconds away, so we're not under any attack from the cars behind. Not only that, the Porsche in position 1 is also not breaking away. So there's no need to be aggressive to that extreme and cause an incident. The Mustang is being a little bit sketchy, a little bit twitchy here and there, and it's kind of making it difficult to go for an overtake. Although we almost lost the car there, thankfully a beautiful save managed to not let that happen. Final corner out the other side on the power. The sad thing about this Lexus, it's just not fast. Great for handling, great for the S's, things like that, and great in the braking department, but top speed, that is where it all lacks. Where it doesn't lack is this moment here. Beautiful. One contestant down, we're on the podium position. And if you want to see how hard that Mustang hit that wall, stay for the end of this video where we have crash cam and we get to see all the chaos in this race. Although my big mug is in the way of the chat, it is kicking off in this race, although we're not seeing it. Honestly, well worth staying to the end. Coming down to the Goodyear sign, braking just as we pass it by the orange gate. Down to second gear, nice and tight into there. We just need to start working our way up to catch up to that BMW. Insane really, because Donson behind has been slowly working their way up the pack. They're only 3.3 seconds away. Closing that door, less than ideal. We need to start setting a decent pace, catching up to the BMW, overtaking that BMW. Well, that was easier said than done. The BMW kept turning left in a straight line. Very easily done there, very easily done. And here as well can be quite nasty. Right, Head down, knuckle down, 2.4 seconds away from the Porsche up ahead. 7 minutes and 50 seconds of this race remaining. Get away from that BMW behind, who is now only 1.8 seconds away. Really applying that pressure to our time. And that time has now increased to 2.1 as we are catching up to that Porsche. What is that car doing? Thankfully they didn't come back onto the track. I mean, each to their own, not going to grumble, and it may have put a bit of thought into the Porsche's mind, but the Porsche up ahead really is not far away, and we have been gaining on them lap per lap. They're setting 145s, we're setting 144s. The hard part now is being committed to that overtake. Sad to say though, kind of followed them into a terrible braking zone and butchering it all up. Side by side into this section here is less than ideal. That's the last thing you want to do. So ultimately back out, let them take that position, apply pressure, make them brake, and that is the aim of the game here, whilst also bearing in mind that the BMW behind is only 1.5 seconds away and Donson is 1.9 seconds away from that. Maybe them two BMWs will start battling, give us a bit of free reign and a bit of free space. Side by side with the Porsche to the right and getting a bit squeezed onto the grass. This could have gone terribly wrong, and do you know what? They're quite aggressive in that situation. I'm going to back out and let them hold on to that position. Maybe their aggression will work to their own detriment. Maybe if we can put ourselves into a situation and then be able to save it, they cannot. You know, thoughts and ideas do enter your head on how to take a position without always overtaking. You've got to try and really encourage a situation to happen. Come on, put your power down. The BMWs are right up our trumpet. Come on, Porsche. We now have 2 laps of this race remaining. Lap 11 and lap 12. Get your power on. Come on, bud. A little bit of skipping coming out of that corner there, side by side with the Porsche. I know this Lexus is not going to be having the run down the straight. Going to have to use a slipstream to be able to keep up. And that's the sad thing about it. It really is slow in a straight line. Now, they did set a better lap time on the final lap there. BMWs behind are relatively close. You know, they are closing that gap and sadly not really battling with each other because there's a 2-second time delta, which sucks. We have Donson, who is really up our trumpet and applying a certain amount of pressure, shall we say. We need to make sure we don't make a mistake and also try and maybe close that door to the Porsche up ahead, who is slightly eked away from us over the course of that last lap. Beautifully done, Flash. 0 seconds of this race remaining. This is our final lap. 1 second away from position 1 and 1 second away almost away from the BMW behind us. So we're really in the middle ground here. We've got to nail each braker zone, each acceleration and each corner to capitalize upon any situation. And although we have gained a tenth to the Porsche, the BMW has gained 2 tenths to our rear end as well. Pressure is really on here to not make a mistake. Nice and tight through the section here. Got to be so careful about that corner. Porsche almost could have lost it there. Sadly, it didn't. Maybe we can capture it on this final corner. Why is there a random car parked there? Don't know, don't care. We have P2 in the bag. Position 3, 0.5 seconds away, and position 1, 0.6 seconds away. Could have been done, but do you know what? Over the moon that we finished this race in position 2. I did say it did kick off in chat. They're not impressed with each other of whatever has happened there, but again, stay to the end for crash cam because it is absolutely insane, like always. Funny enough, got recognised in the next race and they were saying they were driving the Mercedes, so I've given them a little bit of help and advice where moving the brake bias on the Mercedes does really help with the understeer it likes to carry at this track. So we're going to start the race off in the pits because we got P2 in the last race, and do you know what, for this one I want to see how many positions we can claw by the end of the race. Now turning in for turn 1, really not good, but thankfully the Aston Martin wasn't really interested in doing the overtake, so seeing a bit of sin, very much appreciated. That Lamborghini up ahead and the Ferrari is definitely looking to make a move. That was a track limit violation and we're still in one piece. Can't really grumble too much at that. Cars further up ahead are 6 seconds away, which is, does sound like a mountain of time. It really isn't. It doesn't take long for an accident to happen or something to develop, especially as you're coming down to this corner here, because this corner is so well known for dive bombers and accidents. It's not even funny. We have the yellow flag up already, and we have two people sat there talking to each other. What a place to pull over and have a chat. I don't think they see it that way, but you know, from a viewer's perspective like we have at the moment, you know what, we can say whatever we like. BMW also had a moment. Usually a lot of people face the Avis wall, but clearly they did not, and managed to get back into the race. Now, the Lamborghini up in front is pretty quick, and I would say possibly on pace with ourselves or just a tad slower. So we're going to use the Lamborghini to make the gains, take the positions, be the more aggressive driver, because Costa, you have got it in the bag, my friend. I'm going to sit back here and watch it all unfold and kind of follow you through. That's the idea. Whether it will work or not, who's going to know besides ourselves in a moment. We have BMW and BMW up ahead. One has kindly backed out from that position, and we kind of let off the throttle a little bit early to just coast our way into turn one. And again, that BMW takes a very wide angle of the situation. I have a feeling that Taranov is not going to be the most easiest to overtake, and I'm probably also have the suspicion that they're not impressed how the Lamborghini took a position from them. So we have to be mindful of the overtake and kind of plan this out quite well, that once we're committed we can just literally send it past them, because I really don't think it's going to end all too well. We're side by side through the section then, although I would say they gave us a little bit of space. Wasn't enough to be able to stay committed or feel comfortable to stay committed coming out that corner there. As we enter the final corner, the red BMW goes a little bit wide and the Lamborghini Costa sends it up the inside. Now, this is our opportune moment to take the position from the green BMW here. Although I don't think they were too excited about that happening, especially when you see them close the door like they did and almost rip the front end of the bumper off. The Lamborghini though, Costa, has actually been making some quite good gains here, because they are quite a few places ahead of this three pack of cars. And although we have just now gained one position from the red BMW, Taranov up in front is still leading the charge. And then after that we have a little bit of time gap to the Mercedes and Costa in the Lamborghini quite a bit up ahead. Okay, turning under braking, ideal. We know this situation is going to be quite hard to manipulate, shall we say. We need to figure out a way to push the BMW into a corner while we capitalize upon said situation, but either by making them brake late or making them go wide or even undercutting. I'm not too sure. We're going to have to kind of figure out their playstyle here, because they're looking at undercutting the Mercedes, and the Mercedes ultimately does surrender quite heavily, so that is another position gained. Slipstream is not going to be our friend here, although this Lexus does benefit from that. It's certainly not as fast as the BMW, so could we maybe dive bomb it into turn one? It might be the play here. We actually have a very, very good run upon them, and knowing how good the brakes are on the Lexus, going to be stopping just at the 100 board, down to second gear, not letting them take that cutback, parking it on the apex, out the other side we go, and we have claimed that position from them. Beautifully done. 8 attempts up this lap as well from just that one corner alone. Goes to show really how much you had been slowed down. Costa up ahead now, 2.2 seconds away. They have been actually making quite insane gains as the race progresses. We're catching up to another Lamborghini Orlando, but that is a lapped car, so ultimately I think they're going to surrender that position to us. There's a Mercedes facing the wrong way. That is a free position gained right there, and thankfully we didn't get collected or anything like that. Maybe the car's behind it. It doesn't look like it. Oh, I think they're back on the track. That was a quick recovery then, because they're 3.5 seconds away and Taranov is 3.6. Lamborghini has backed out, giving us that position. Thank you ever so much, Orlando. Very, very much appreciated. Now, Costa had a moment there, saved that moment. We need to now think about overtaking Costa. We follow them out the pits. We have relatively similar pace. Very, very different cars. Let's show them what this Lexus can do and take that position away from them. Or they might crash, who knows. As Costa is still trying to make gains, Mazza also in a Lamborghini up in front, these two have a bit of a moment together. Now, I kind of feel a little bit sorry for Costa here because I kind of think it was a fair enough dive bomb. They secured that position. Maybe it's just a little bit tight through there. I'm not too sure, but a little bit of door banging did occur and Costa did back out from the situation. Again, I kind of think it was a fair take because they were kind of side by side. Costa braked a little bit late. I don't know, let me know your thoughts, but it's also viewed in the crash cam at the end of this video, so you get to see a full different angle on the situation. Very different angle. That does matter sometimes in a long run. Costa up in front. Do we give them the bump draft or do we make them work for it? And ultimately, I'm making them work for it. I'm not looking at giving somebody a bump draft. I don't want to have damage to the car or anything like that. I'm not too sure what bump drafting is like in this game, but Mazza is turning under braking, less than ideal. Kind of put Costa off, and I'm very lucky that Costa didn't take them out because that wasn't really very fair of Mazza to do that to Costa Coffee. Yeah. And Garcia is also not too happy with the Lamborghini drivers or the BMW. I kind of understand seeing what's going on up in front. Let me know your thoughts on the situation. But we're going to have an insane run down the straight inside. Inside line again, going to be braking late, parking on the apex, 100 board to our left, hard down to second gear, parking it there, not letting them have the inch of comeback. And you know what? Putting them back in contention with Costa Coffee behind us. Yep. Make them somebody else's problem and make sure we can get away from them. And by lap 10, we're in position 7. We have gained that many positions in this race. Absolutely insane. We now have Zabrowski up in front in the Mercedes. A beautiful car. Kind of heavy for this track, I would say that. Unless you push the brake bias a lot more to the rear, it does like to understeer in the twistier sections. But it does have a great engine, which provides great amount of power. Ultimately power that we don't need them to have and we should have in this Lexus, because this Lexus does have a great soundtrack from the outside. It really is a great bit of kit and handles exceptionally well at Fuji here, I must say. Mustang, ooh, that was a little bit close flash. Mustang is definitely faster, don't get me wrong, but it's also a little bit sketchier. It's not as safe to drive as the Lexus, shall we put it that way. More fun though, definitely more fun, and it would have been the car I chose if I didn't choose a Lexus. But it's been a minute since we had the Lexus out and about, so away we go. Down the straight, right behind the Mercedes. Are we going to be able to make the slingshot move? Side by side, they surrender, they've gone to the left, they're giving the position to us. I'm going to park it on the apex, do the ultimate move again. Third time's a charm, down the second gear, parking it. They've kind of handed it on a plate to us, cannot grumble at that. Sometimes people know it's not worth the battle, and fair enough. So thank you, Zabrowski, that is very much appreciated. And again, you know, you see people clawing you in, or you're getting clawed in by somebody else. You know you're not going to be able to hold them off for X, Y, and Z amount of laps. So sometimes it is better just to let them pass and kind of follow them along, learn from that faster driver and see if you can do it as well. And that's probably the quickest way of becoming faster yourself. Chat, thank you, no problem, very much appreciated. Now on to crash cam, ourselves to the left. This is I done in the middle, heading down towards turn 1, ultimately brakes far later than anybody else and causing all manners of chaos into turn 1. Ourselves to the left hand side, you see side by side with the Lamborghini, and it doesn't end there because we have a Mustang to our left. I done turns in like the Mustang never existed. Yeah, it doesn't work that way, and it's a shame that the accidents happen. I done is the one in the Corvette. BMW, on the other hand, takes a whole new approach and turns into a lawnmower, cutting that lawn fine and smooth, causing actually all manners of chaos behind. You know, people forget about that because whatever you do has a knock-on effect for everybody else, and here is the knock-on effect. It's Paul McLaren sat in minding her own business, gets punted off the track, and ultimately manages to not be a part of any further chaos and comes back on the track in last place. That is a risky move right there, sending it into turn 1, crashing into the BMW, thinking that should be a point of braking, but ultimately actually giving those position back, which is fair enough. We've all broken late before. That is I done again, got destroyed by the BMW. Ultimately, I done quits the race. Probably had enough of that. Really crappy move to make, especially when you're a mile away from somebody and you just literally send them off the track like you did there. And again, the knock-on effect is seen right here. All manners of crashing is happening at the moment, thanks to one person sending it from 4 miles back onto the track. You know, it's really, really crazy. Here is the Mustang visiting said wall. Bang. Fair enough, the Mustang is actually still in one piece and I think still very drivable. Here's the Ferrari that we saw have a moment on the track. I'm not too sure where they're going. Definitely in last place because they weren't in first. And that's a whole new way of entering the pits. Yeah. Well, like nothing happened, I guess. Oh dear me. So people really do put themselves in situations, hit a car and then act like nothing happened. I would say that's probably more than McLaren going up the inside there. Not a great place to make a move. If you're going to go up the insides, you've got to really stay committed. Wow, that's the fastest pit entry I've ever seen in my life. Race 2 on the other hand, again, turn 1, people fail to understand braking or providing a safe braking zone and not ploughing into the cars up in front. Not too sure the idea of that move, but yeah, that's totally not on. You know, that was definitely committed. I'm sending it and hoping for the best move, and it just didn't work out. Ultimately, that's why these two cars became very good friends as we came down and saw them talking to each other. Yeah. Here's the 2 green BMWs. What do you guys think about that situation? Don't know, kind of funky. Kind of funky. Has anybody driven the Hurricane? Is it a really good car? I don't know. Kind of tempted to drive it and kind of worried at the same time that it is a bit of an animal. I heard it can be a little bit playful. Let me know down in the comments below. Aston Martin turning into the BMW like they never existed, and both of them are now destroyed. The Collector. Kind of hard to predict where cars are going to go when you see that happen. Do you go left, you go right, you know, and you're not going too fast to slow down. It's really, really hard to judge about what's going to happen. That is not on either. You can't just nail yourself in front of another car whilst braking, and then, yeah, it's kind of a brake test and cutting you off kind of move. Not ideal, I must say. Well, that solved that problem. Do you think this moves on because it kind of scraped your way through? I mean, you're leaning on another car. You see it a lot in racing where you kind of just elbowed your way through there. I wouldn't say it's awful, but kind of naughty. Oh, teabag.